Now, you assume in your hour of need or in your child's hour of need that when you look for help, it will be there, it will be fully resourced, and they will be able to make the situation better. What happens in practice? Well, I want you to meet Lee van Staden, who lives in Portarlington along with her children. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the radio today.
Tell us what you and your family have been through of late.
Okay, so I'm a single mum to 3 children. My youngest is Ashley. She is 11 years old and is currently in 5th class in presentation primary. We come from a family that suffer with mental health. It runs in our family, in the woman specifically. Ashley had showed signs that she was not coping very well mentally. So May bank holiday weekend of last year, I saw for the first time that she had self-harmed. I had decided to take her straight through to Crumlin Hospital, thinking it is a children's hospital. They will have CAMHS on site. No disregard to Portlaoise, it's just they don't have the facilities necessarily for dealing with mental health as such.
And CAMHS is the acronym for the Child and Adolescent Mental Health Service, which is run by the HSE.
That's correct, yes. So I had taken her in on the Saturday morning. We had been kept in for the full weekend because there was no CAMHS facility available with it being on a weekend. So on the Tuesday, we had been seen by a CAMHS doctor who deemed us fit to go home, with necessary appointments being arranged through CAMHS in Laois, which is based in Portlaoise. We had then been seen by CAMHS that week, where she was receiving appointments every 6 to 8 weeks, which is not really sufficient for a child that is suffering with mental health and does not know how to regulate emotions.
How helpful were the appointments?
They were okay. She sees 2 people there, so she sees a doctor. Now, with a child that is suffering with mental health issues, change is not a very good thing. Unfortunately, with CAMHS, the junior doctors change every 6 months. So Ashley was building a rapport with one of the doctors, and December of last year, that doctor had left. So she had been appointed a new doctor, which she only got to see in March of this year. So that's a 3-month wait for a child with mental health issues, and it's not good enough. So just going back to last year, she was then also appointed I think it's a psych nurse, and she has been seen by her on a more regular basis, so once every week, once maybe every 2 weeks, depending on availability. And things seem to be going quite well. We have essentially been presenting ourselves to Portlaoise Hospital, the Pleads department, approximately every 2nd month, whether it was self-harming, whether it was suicide ideation, or actual thoughts of wanting to take her life. The weekend of where we had the Northern Lights that Friday night, I very excitedly woke my children up. Ashley wouldn't wake up. I did think it was a bit strange, but I let her be because sleep is not her best friend. So that Saturday morning, I'm a very early riser because I've got dogs and I take them for walks and things. So she came into me about 5:30, 6 o'clock that morning, very unsteady on her feet. Her words were slurring, and I thought something was strange, but I wasn't exactly sure what was going on. She told me her stomach was sore. I said, well, look, she hadn't had dinner the night before. Get some breakfast into you, see if that's going to make you feel better or if you're going to get sick so we know what we're dealing with. She had tried to make me a cup of coffee. It was cold. It's very not like her. She loves making me coffee in the morning. She loves giving me my morning coffee. So I knew something was up. I had asked her what was going on. Nothing. She wouldn't speak to me. Her older sister woke up and had a chat with her. She came running up the stairs to me and said, Mum, Ashley has taken your meds. Now, as I said, mental health does run in the family. I take duloxetine, which is also known as Cymbalta. I was on Lyrica.
That's an antidepressant.
It is. It is. It's also quite a dangerous one. I had been on Lyrica before as well, and she had taken both of those as well as half a bottle of her melatonin. So I reached out to the Pleads department or to A&E just to say, listen, this was taken 12 hours previously. Do I bring her in? What do I do? And they told me,
you have two concerns. You have a medical concern, but also a mental
health concern. The reason why I wouldn't have necessarily taken her in for mental health is because I know from presenting every second month at the hospital, when we get there, what happens is it's an adult psychiatrist that gets to see her. Don't get me wrong, I have nothing against adult psychiatrists. They have helped me. But asking a child, well, you're not going to do that again, are you? And a child says no, and then being discharged is not good enough. That's not helping my child at that time of need. So I rang more so for the medical part of it, because Ashley had shown that she had written a WhatsApp message to herself on her phone saying that if I find this, she loves me, she's sorry that she had to do this, but she wants to be with my dad. My dad died 3 years ago from COVID. So she's never really gotten over that. Portlaoise told us to come in. We came in. They did a battery load of tests on her, and luckily enough, she did no damage. We stayed in hospital the weekend. That Saturday night, we were seen by an adult psychiatrist, which once again,
the particular insights into a child's
mind. Exactly. Ashley, you're not going to do this again, are you? No. 6 days later, she did it again. This time she took a whole lot of my vitamin D as well, and she took some energy tablets, some ginseng. She took Lyrica, and she took duloxetine. I had a feeling, though, the Thursday night something was up because she was in bed early, and I asked her sister, did she have access to anything? Because my bedroom door is locked, but I do live in a duplex, so at night I cannot lock my door for safety reasons. My daughter Tara also thought that, maybe something wasn't right, something was up. So we let her sleep. That Friday morning she woke up quite early, and I kept on asking her, Ashley, have you taken anything? Ashley, what's going on? Once again, she was lethargic, she was stumbling.
So all your instincts are setting off alarm bells.
Everything was heightened. Absolutely everything was heightened. She went down to try and make herself something to eat, and my daughter had essentially just kept at her, and eventually she broke down and she said, yes, she did. I immediately got hold of her phone and I read her diary. And on her diary there, it said, I just want to die. I don't want to be here anymore. For a mother to hear that or to read that is very, very hard. Literally got her dressed, back to hospital. This time I said to the hospital, I'm not leaving. I cannot keep my child safe at home. I can't leave. If I have to camp out in the waiting room, I will do that, but I'm not leaving until my child gets help.
The stakes are too high.
That's it. Exactly. I'm not going to lose a child. I will fight until my dying day. I come from a history of mental health. I've seen people commit suicide. I've seen people trying. I've seen people struggle. And I'm not going to let my children struggle.
But your purpose in being here today isn't just to speak about your own child and her needs.
No, it's to help every child. It's to highlight
that others who will be in this position, and unfortunately, inevitably, people will be in that position in the future, that this is the deficiency in the service.
Exactly. And it's not the doctors, it's not the nurses, the staff, and even in CAMHS and in Portlaoise, they've all been amazing. The people are amazing. They've got empathy, they want to help, but their hands are tied. The system is failing our children. And that is what I need to highlight. I need to highlight that the system needs to be changed. The system needs to be overhauled. We need to fight for our future. Our future are our children, and we need to fight for them. So the Friday, I was told that I would be seeing I'll be seeing the head of Portlaoise CAMHS coming into me the Monday morning, Dr. Rosaline. But they have decided that they would keep her in until I had spoken to Dr. Rosaline and a further plan was be put into place. So we'd spent the weekend in Pleads Hospital, brilliant facilities. You know, everybody is really caring, like I've said before. Monday morning, Dr. Rosaline came in, and the first thing was like, she apologises because I'd not had another appointment brought out or sent out to me prior to the 6 days that we'd been there prior to the time. She said to me straight that yes, Ashley needs an inpatient facility, and she was going to ring around, see which facility can take her first. I said to her, I don't care if it's private, I don't care if it's public, I don't care if I've got to travel the length and breadth of Ireland, but she needs to be in a facility that can help her and have the staff right there to help her. I got an hour, 2 hours later, Dr. Rosaline called me again and she said, Lee, your child is not even 12 years of age. There's one facility in the whole of Ireland that will be able to assist your child. And that was Linn Dara in Cherry Orchard Hospital in Dublin. She didn't know how long it would take to get in there. She assured me that we would not be sent home, that we would stay in Pleads until a bed becomes available for her.
How long did that take?
We were discharged the Wednesday morning, and I drove her through to Linn Dara that Wednesday. So we are so lucky and so grateful that she got a bed so quickly. The nursing staff really was surprised. They thought that we would be in Portarlington Hospital for at least a month because beds are so scarce. She is currently there. So yesterday she'd been there 2 weeks. She's the youngest child there. It is a facility for children with mental health and eating disorders. So they have three facilities there, of which only 2 are being used. One is not being used due to staff shortages. So out of the about 30 beds that they have, only 2/3 are being used. It's scary because there's so many children out there that need the help. You know,
we hear about it, particularly since COVID. Studies will show it, anecdotal evidence will back it up, that anxiety has become chronic almost in younger children. So to really open the gates at the age of 12 seems strange, that there are going to be children younger than that who will need help. And you know, one facility with only 2/3 capacity sounds strange. And again, we will ask the HSE for maybe what the justification for that is. What's your ask today of those in power?
Overall, the system. Make facilities available for children of all ages, not just one facility. I am so lucky that I live in Portarlington, that Cherry Orchard is only an hour away. What happens if I was living in Kerry or Donegal or, you know, as far as that? Driving 4 to 5 hours to see your child for an hour or two, it's not enough. You know, it's difficult enough for the family having your child in an inpatient facility. But to have to drive and find the ways and the means, it's not good enough. Like I said earlier, you know, our children are Ireland's future. We need to look after them holistically. We need facilities to be there. All my children have anxiety. I do think COVID heightened the anxiety, especially losing their grandfather, you know, and having to watch, first of all, say goodbye on WhatsApp video. Second of all, having to watch the funeral, you know, on a live YouTube stream because we were in lockdown, we weren't able to travel. You know, that has a huge mental, you know...
It's traumatising.
It is. It really, really is. But there's just not enough facilities. I mean, my daughter was refused by CAMHS for 2 years prior to her self-harming badly enough that she had to be in hospital. That's not good enough. You know, if a child is asking for help or crying out for help, or if the school or the doctor is sending a referral in because the child needs that extra bit of support, and then to be turned away, it's devastating to the whole family. It also makes the child feel like, you know what, they're just not enough. And our children are enough. You know, our children need to be loved. Our children need to know that they are enough and that they are worthy and that they are valued. And at the moment, our children are not being valued because there's no facilities available, or not sufficient facilities available. And that is, you know, that is my ask. I'm not doing this for my daughter. I am lucky that my daughter has received the help, and I do feel that it's down to the doctors that she received this help so quickly. I am campaigning for all of the other children out there whose parents are not aware of what they can and cannot do, of parents who are struggling themselves, with their own mental health and trying to help their children with mental health as well. I have emailed all the TDs of Laois and Offaly. I am going to take this as far as I possibly can, and I'm not going to stop until there are more facilities available for our children. Because if my daughter is suffering like this, what are the other children suffering? There are other children out there. It's not just my daughter that is suffering. There are other children out there and they need help.
Lee, I am at a loss for words other than to say I wish you and your family the best.